else?
How has your career, especially your acting career, affected your faith life?
My what?
Your faith life.
I have turned down things. It's very hard as an actor when you go into a project to know how it's going to be cut and what kind of a rating it's going to be. So I have turned down several films that I could immediately see would be R's. And I'm not saying I haven't been in an R film, because I've accepted parts that I didn't think when I read the script that it would be an R, but when it went before the board to rate them, they were R. So I think I've been in one R movie. But that has affected me. I mean, it's not, as I say, something that, you know, I realized in some of them for violence and things like that, why they need that rating. But I just don't wish to participate in any. Anybody else?
When you stopped acting after Beaver a while there, did you think that that was it? You were never going to go back into it, or did you always?
No, I worked during the summers. I did Lassie, but I wanted to play sports. And they told me in my freshman year in football, which was the first sport I started, if you go out and work as an actor, you can't play because you won't be here for the practices. So I just told my parents, and they agreed. You know, I had worked a long time. I've been working since I was 2 until I was about 12, almost 13. They said that's fine. And when people called to do shows or anything during the summer, then I worked. But I just didn't work during the school year. And I liked it. Working was a lot of fun. I got to meet a lot of interesting people. I got to travel all over the world. So it wasn't something that was a drudgery that I was, it wasn't the salt mines, as Fred Rutherford would say, that I was going to. But it was just that it was a choice. I wanted to play sports. My dad had been a coach, and sports were always very, very important in my life. Tony Dow was actually, the way he got the part, when he came to Leave It to Beaver, was an AAU swimmer, and he held 2 world records for his age group. He'd never been an actor. He'd been in one series. It was a copy of Tarzan, because they wanted an athlete, and he was a diver. He was a high diver off 35 feet for the Olympics. I think it's 35, whatever the high dive is. So he wasn't even an actor at all. He was an athlete.
You saved a lot of money as a child actor, and I know that certain pitfalls have befallen other child actors. Was this something that your parents did for you, or did you have a manager growing up that handled your finances?
No. My father and mother handled all my finances. Under the Coogan Act, which was passed after Jackie Coogan's parents stole all his money, every actor has to go before the court when you sign a contract. And every year that contract has to be investigated by the court. And they see if your parents are making wise decisions for you, and then they can put away anything from 8 to 10% of your gross earnings into an account that you get when you're 21. So I got usually the minimum amount in that because my father and mother were making such good investments for me. Anybody else? Would you like to hear me sing?
Were the mannerisms you had on Leave It to Beaver, the mispronouncing words and things like that, was that something that came over from your life, or did you have to learn how to mispronounce words in the script?
No, that was something I think that only happened the first season, but they thought that would make me seem younger, because I was probably playing a 7 or 8 year old, and I think I was almost 9 or 10. So they, and it didn't bother me. One of the things about me is how I got to be an actor and had such a good memory is I'm dyslexic. And so when I read something, I do not read it the same way you do. I can take tests. As I said, I'm a graduate of Berkeley. So what would happen was, when I started at school, all the other kids would laugh at me when I was in the first grade before I started Leave It to Beaver. And so what would happen is I talked my mom into it. She would read me the stories. I would memorize them and then act like I was reading them the next day. So that's how I actually learned how to do scripts. Anybody else? Gee, and I've come up with all the answers. That's almost a miracle.
Is Tony Dow still living?
Yes, he is. He is an award-winning artist. He lives in Topanga Canyon, which is one of the canyons between the San Fernando Valley and the ocean. And he goes around and he has about, I think it's 7 or 8 acres, and he finds pieces of wood that fall off all the trees. He then, I would call it whittling, and sands on them, and then turns them into brass and bronze pieces. And his claim to fame, which is pretty good, is he just opened a piece in the Louvre in Paris.